are exhausted because they have to protect the vulnerable environment. That is why the workers do not blaze the road. I don't know what can you see, but let's show the road where the workers step on when they work. And this is very steep and this is dangerous. During the daily lives, they have to follow the vertical iron tower to climb up. I also climbed up this tower. It's very difficult to climb up. It's like rock climbing. You have to use your hands and feet together. You can see that the different steps between the distance between the two steps is very long. So you have to also, when you climb up, you should follow a ladder, a soft ladder, to the place where the workers should work. They call their work stepping on a string. Why it is so called? And why should they have to work on this dangerous string? You can see that their hands are holding two lines and their feet are stepping on the lines. Why should they do this? Because they step on the wires to check if there are wounded spots on the wires. For instance, the wounded spots may be caused by the transport. If they are not timely spotted, later when the electricity is connected, it will cause noises, and it will affect the efficiency of the energy transmission. It may also cause the halt of the energy transmission. So they are stepping on the wire and they're inspecting and checking them. If you look at it carefully, you will find that on the wires, these are the two workers and they are females. Because the new employees should join in such training. They should work on the towers, and this is the basic techniques they should master, and this is conducive to their future growth and development. And we may see that they are very swift and they're agile. And where are the males? They're at the center of the wires. There are also two male workers. They're also stepping on the wires, but their tasks are different. They should install the separating rod. So what are the rods? It's about 36 kilograms, and the height is about 1.6 meters. This is the biggest separating rod because it has long. Our transmission line has the highest voltage and largest transmission capacity, so the workers need to install a wheel. And when they were stepping on this, and they should also drag on a spacer, and they should install the spacer into the place where they should be situated. On the sky, it is very heavy, so it is difficult for them to drag on such a heavy thing, and they should step on the wires. On the sky, the two things are difficult to be lifted together, so they should install every wire into the joints. So why should we wear the spacers? Install the spacers? Because on the sky, and there are 8 wires for each group. If you cannot install the spacers, they are easily affected by the wind. And also on the surface of the wires, they're aluminum. It is easily affected and wounded, and the wounds of the wires will cause difficulty for the workers to inspect and check the wires. So it is necessary for us to install the spacers. Through this model, you can feel that the stepping on the wires are very difficult. So it is about 300 meters above the Yellow River, and we have made this model. And this is a kind of working on this model, though we use the thickest wire, but it is the diameter is about 5 centimeters. It's about the thickness of the person's wrist. And working on 300 meters above the Yellow River, it is very dangerous and very difficult. So it's about 10 meters above the ground. My hand should hold tight the rails. So, but it is still staggering. So it is very difficult and dangerous. And our workers' task is to stepping on the wires, and the Yellow River is about 220 meters. They have to walk on such a distance to find if there are any problems on the wires, and if there are, they should install a spacer. So stepping on the wires is the last procedure to inspect this transmission line. If the weather is good, then till tomorrow afternoon, the work is finished. It means that the project will be finished, and these are the two boards. I'd like to introduce you through these two boards. The highest voltage transmission line starts from Xinjiang to the southern part of Anhui. The length is about 3,300 meters. And the voltage is plus or minus 1,100 kilovolts. So it has the highest voltage, and it has the largest transmission capacity, and has the longest distance of transmission. So it also has the most advanced technology. So how are they manifested? It's very technical. I'd like to give you some examples. For instance, the ground lead. The ordinary iron tower used the ordinary ground lead, but in this place, the chloride diodes are in surplus, so we use different types of the ground lead, and we have used different procedures and different techniques. So the line is so long, it is so heavy. How it is connected? If we want to take it across the Yellow River, it is very difficult because the Yellow River is very wide, and after it was it is so heavy. It's about 70 tons, and it is not difficult for us to just drag them across the Yellow River. When we have installed the two towers, we will use a string of about 3.5 millimeters. We use an unmanned vehicle to take a string here, and then we will use the string to drag the wire, and then we use the strings with smaller diameters to drag the thicker lines, the wires. And we use the steel wires to drag more thicker wires. So how does our strength come from? We cannot see because the project is very large. We can see that behind this machine is a kind of lead. It's a leading sphere. It's a mechanical sphere. For instance, this string is the wire. Another thing is a tractor. It's a traction field. and then there is a friction. The mechanical power should not be too strong because it may drop on the ground. So the resistance field and the traction field should be coordinated. So the traction field and the resistance field are very important. They have now been made automatic, and the computers may control it, so the mechanical power and the coordination can be perfect. So I'd like to interview you.
I'm from a local electric company. We mainly work on the safety issues.
So what are the difficulties of working here?
This project is the largest project undertaken by our company. It is also the most difficult one because it covers a long distance of electric wires, and the transportation is very difficult here. The landscape is very complicated here, so these are all the challenges we face. This project also has the highest voltage in the world, and we apply the latest technology and the standards in this project. You need to dip 60 meters deep into the ground. In such a fragile local environment, how to dig such a deep hole that involves the safety issue on our side. So it is very difficult to fulfill this task. But overall, we overcome almost all the difficulties. And we will reach the target of crossing the Yellow River. And tomorrow, the last day of 2017, we will finish the project, the section of Yellow River installation. And we will then go with the maintenance job to ensure the task is well fulfilled.
Thank you so much. Just now you mentioned a very important concept that till tomorrow afternoon. The work on the Yellow River will be finished, and all wires will be crossed the Yellow River. At that time, we had a report, and I'd like to introduce you to this instrument. Just now, we had a report to this kind of thing. It has a small size, but it's very heavy. It's about 200 grams. This is the steel wire, and we use this thing to drag the wire. This part drags a wire, and this part also drags a wire. We can have a look at it, and this part is a casing. It's very heavy. I'll have a look if I can carry it. Oh, it's so heavy. It's about 150 grams. So when they drag the two wires, and this kind of thing is flexible, it can be dropped. And the board will not be tilted, turned upside down, because when it is turned upside down, the two wires will be mixed together, and this will harm the wires. And we can see the pulleys. The pulley is not so big as we look, but its diameter has exceeded 1 meter. It's so big. between the two towers or install 16 pulleys to drag the wires to make them smoothly go into the troughs. If the wind is too strong, then the board will be easily upside down. And the additional weight should follow another route, so it is difficult to make them move in different routes because the wind is so strong. So why should we put the pulleys on the ground? Because the pulleys are the things that make the installation easier. So when the pulleys cross the Yellow River, the workers should drag the wires, hang on the wires. There is a fixed lock like this. We can see this. Let's turn around. When they have stayed on the tower for very long, it seems that it is casual for them to have a rest. But for those of us who do not have the experience of working on such a height, but they have adapted to the work here because it's so cold and it's very high. It's dangerous. So we should respect those workers because behind such a big project are the dedicated workers.
As you can see, the workers are still working on the wire. They work to do the maintenance job. As you can see in the camera, on the left side, the workers have almost done with installing the spacers. To install the spacers, the workers follow a sequence. It weighs more than 70 kilograms. So they follow an arc route to install the spacers. They follow a downward trend to make the job easier. It's very difficult to install across the Yellow River, high above the ground. So that's why they adopt the arc route. They do not walk on a straight line, instead an arc route. That saves energy and make it easier for them to walk. They can walk around 50 meters per minute. Wind is what they fear most when walking on the wire, because the wind will make the wire tremble. Then it will be very dangerous to walk on the wire. So the fragile natural environment is one challenge to the project. As you can see in the camera, here we have very barren mountain with few forests or grasslands. It's usually subject to the wind and sand. And today in our interview, we have a sandstorm. That was when I stood on the ground beside the tower. As you can see where I finger pointed, around 400 meters away, it is almost invisible here when the sandstorm hit us. You cannot tell where we are when there was a sandstorm. So almost 300 meters away, straight away from here, in the Yellow River, It's really invisible. And what I can hear only was the sound of the spacers hitting each other. So when they hit each other, they usually cause some wounds or holes on the wires. So they make a noise and they will discharge electricity or cause electricity cut. So it will add more jobs to the workers and make it more difficult for them. So far, the weather is turning better. On this side, the spacers are well installed already. And by this afternoon, we will finish all the installation. Well, towards the end of this program, I would like to give a special picture to the workers walking on the string. You know, this tower is 106 meters high. To walk on this wire, how difficult it is. Can you help with that? It is an auxiliary tool to help you climb. If you suddenly have a fallen force, then it will stop you from that. First, I will connect myself to the rope. On this tower, the tower has installed 20,000 bolts. That's really a huge amount of work. I need to fasten my seat belts, safety belts. One step it's quite a big step. You should not hold yourself too tight to the tower because you will feel so nervous in your muscle. And the tower is very cold. I need to put on my gloves. I should adjust my position. When you hold on to this part, it will be easier for you to climb. That's much easier than what I tried for the first time. No matter mentally or physically, you feel more relaxed and you move up faster. That's what our workers do each day. It's really tiring job. I have only moved a few meters, but I already feel exhausted. Each day, the workers have their meals on the tower. They even sleep on the tower. They carry all the parts and tools for installation onto the tower. Well, this morning I had another I already had a program. I climbed around 50 meters onto the tower. I saw the Yellow River was very beautiful, but the people are very hard to tell from where I stand. Well, the project is located where there was no road, and near some dry river, because they need to protect the environment. This tower does not have a big special base or foundation, because when they finish the job, they will restore the foundation of the tower. For each foundation, they will dip 18 meters deep into the ground. That will hold the tower tight to the ground. It's very solid. This tower provides me with a broader view than the previous towers. I hope the cameraman can hear me. As you can see across, there is another tower not far from here. It's relatively small because of the distance. But also because this tower I am climbing is the biggest project. The tower across has 870 kV. Now I have climbed almost 20 to 30 meters. It's not steep enough. If I climb further, if you do not have gone through a professional training, it's very hard for you to make it to the top. You know, to climb such a distance, I already received some professional training or guidance. But today, due to the facility reason, the camera I'm wearing does not carry enough signal. But it's so far so good. Lately, I've been interviewing the workers around here. I can tell the workers are really proficient in climbing the tower. They were climbing very fast. For what I have covered, for the same amount of time I have covered, the workers can already make it to the top. So they are really good. If I want to make it to 50 meters, that would be much more difficult. So I would just end it here with 30 meters. I would feel nervous or afraid if I climb further. I think 10 meters is enough for a newcomer. If you make it to 30 meters, it would be more nervous for you, and even more for 50 meters. You will feel very tense if you climb further. I think we need a rest. If we just stop here and hand half the sky, you will feel really unsecure. I have tried several times in climbing. I think I am already used to it. How do I overcome the tension? When I was about to give it up at 30 meters, I saw someone across me in another tower. It's actually a female worker, and she looks very young. So I think if you have enough training and you overcome your fear, you can do it. I need to adjust a little bit. I am wearing an auxiliary facility to help me climb the tower. When I get off, I need to remove it. That is a kind of a safety measure. So when you climb to 30 meters, if you overcome your inner fear, you can make it further to 15 meters. I can tell the female worker is almost was probably born after 1990s. She is new to her job. And for a newcomer like her, people need to do such a job. So the young workers, the young female workers, really encourages me. I asked them whether they fear when they work on the wire. They said yes in the first place, but as they walk on, it becomes normal, just like sitting on the ground. I also asked if they had any accidents. They said yes. There was once when they had an accident and a hand in the sky, but they have the safety net, the safety belt that kept them to the tower. So they all had this experience of fear, but they overcome it. I think bravery is very important in finishing this job. Okay, I'm done. I'm finally off the tower. Now I need to remove the tour. Well, where do the workers live here?
They live here because it will save the time. It is easier for them to go to the work site. So they just live nearby. So how about dining? They make the dinners themselves. So it seems they are Southerners, so are you used to the customs here? I have come to here for 1 year. So all the dishes, all the meals are we bring them together with us. We can see that sometimes they will drop their meal boxes. So because they just eat on their working positions, because they bring the meal boxes together with them in order to save time. And now the weather is cool. It's below 0 degrees Celsius. And they should seize the time. They should take their time efficiently. When the weather is good, they work more time. And during the sandstorm several days ago, they found that the work is halted, so they have to seize the time to do more work, because when the sandstorm comes, we cannot work. For us, during this time, it is a golden time for us to work. So it is winter. It is still golden time. For us, it is golden time. Because during summer, it is raining heavily. So it is the winter time, then it is dry and our work is not so easily affected. So during the sandstorm, at the foot of the tower, I can see the wind. Do you mean that when the sandstorm comes, it is more difficult for us to repair and maintain? Indeed, it is easy for the wires to have problems when there are sandstorms. So I hope that the God may give us better weathers. We have seen that the workers stay here for such a long time. How long should they stay here? How about their commuting time? If installing if they should fix the wires or stepping on the wires, it's about 8 hours. It's so long a time. The distance is about 922 meters, and on-site distance is about 940 meters. They should install a spacer. They should walk to and fro. So it is a long distance. How about going to the toilet? And because they work in such environment, how about going to the toilet? Because working in such an environment, they have changed their life habits, Especially our southerners, when we come to the northern part of China, we have adapted to the environment and to the working environment. Many of the employees, when they wake up, they have seen that sometimes it's too dry and their nose are bleeding. So for us, it is a process of adaptation. It is so dry here. We can see that there are dirt and sand everywhere. It's so dry, so you should drink more water, and especially working in such environment, you should drink more water, especially in summer. There is no trees where we can hide. The sun is blaring. The blazing sun accompanies you from the morning to the evening, and we all dine and eat lunch and every meal in such environment, and we should overcome the difficulties. So we can see that the workers are so adaptable, and we should learn from them. Our purpose is so here they dedicated themselves to the great projects. And we also should follow the instructions of the President Xi and follow his spirit. So through our cameras, we have witnessed, indeed, the work environment is so harsh, and they dine in the open environment. And they also rest at an open environment. We can imagine this. The mountain so bare. In summer, it's about 30 or 40 degrees Celsius. So where should we hide? There is no tree. We cannot hide under the tree, and there is no umbrella for us to have shade. So it is so difficult. Back to where we are, this is a kind of line, and what kind of line it is? Why should we keep focusing on it? Because this transmission line has the highest voltage. It has the longest distance of transmission. It has the highest, the biggest transmission capacity. There are so many big countries around the world, but why this kind of line emerges in China? Because on one part, our country has a huge territory, big territory. On the other side, we're developing so fast. We have such a demand. The most important thing is that we have the every effort of every individual of our country. So just like this big project, we have overcome every difficulty, and there are always persons to work to light the world for us. And there are always people who contribute themselves to the great cause and sacrifice their self-interests. Also, I asked them, when I chatted with them, I asked them, so what is your New Year wish? They have almost the same wishes. Finish the project and go home and to have festival together at an early date. So we can see that behind the great cause are the ordinary Chinese people who donated their blood and their energy. And it is their efforts that have made our country great. So at the end of the program, let us extend our best wishes for them. And let us say thank you to them. You're so great. Thank you. This is the end of our live streaming. Thank you.